Hey buddies, Pug here coming at you with another Borderlands 3 video. Today we're going to actually be doing a Flak build that I actually was testing out today, and I found something absolutely crazy. So every single time you throw out a Rakk Attack, it does one grenade, but I found a grenade that actually spawns multiple grenades every single time you use it, and today we're going to be showing you right now. If you can see on the screen right now, I'm actually killing Captain Trant with it very easily, and we're using the Shock Lightspeed grenade right there. And we have a corrosive and incendiary lightspeed grenade as well. We're also using the old god shield to boost our incendiary damage and shock damage depending on which old god we use. I'm going to be showing you this first with our incendiary lightspeed grenade with regular mobs. And you see right there, I sent out one Rakk and it did millions of damage very easily. I'm going to actually switch over to the shock grenade, and we're throwing out some shock, and it did very little damage as you see right there. It only spawned like what, 4 or 8 projectiles, because the lightspeed grenade only spawns 8 projectiles every single time you throw it. But with the Rakk Attack, it seems to actually spawn 3 grenades at once, or sometimes even 4, as long as the enemy doesn't die instantly. So when you do this, you got to make sure that the Rakk actually hits them and doesn't kill them instantly. And I'm showing you real quick on the screen the Peregrine class mod. I have a couple of good sub stats on it to increase their damage, but every time it'd be hit by a Rakk Attack, it'd actually spawn a grenade. I'm going to show you real quick how much crazy damage we can deal when it spawns all those grenades at once. We have the Anointment action skill active, grenade increased by 150% to increase the damage by a crap ton every single time we summon our Rakks. So real quick here, we threw out a bunch of Rakk Attacks, and you see that it did millions of damage very easily. And right now we're using the gun anointment that increases our damage every single time we hit an enemy with Rakk Attack. So it basically slags them every single time Rakk Attack hits them. And you see there, we're doing millions of damage with each Rakk Attack alone. Well, oftentimes we'll kill the enemy without actually the grenade actually spawning. I saw right there, I hit the enemy, spawned a bunch of grenades, and then killed that one guy, and then homed over to the other guy and killed him instantly. And I'm also using the Elemental Projector Victory Rush, because every single time we kill a badass, we'll increase our damage, and every single time we ignite ourselves or get lit on fire, or I don't know, if someone electrocutes us, we'll increase our damage by 2 times, so our damage increases exponentially. And I saw there's a class mod that actually spawned grenades on every single Rakk Attack. I jumped on it because I'm crazy with grenades. I love grenades so much that I actually did a grenades only run, if you want to click up here for that. And here's my action skill tree. It's nothing too special, it's just a standard crit build and a pet build. We're actually gonna go over to this area and kill a bunch of enemies real quick, just to show you how much damage we can deal. So we hit that one enemy, and a bunch of lightspeed grenades came out and spawn and starts hitting and mollywopping everyone around the area. This build is mainly built for aggressiveness, so you'll often get downed very easily. But we have our spider ant to pick us back up every single time that were to happen. Oftentimes lightspeed grenades come after come and bounce right at you when you use Rakk Attack because of the way that the grenades are thrown. So you'll often get down very easily. And then we're going to move on over to the Grave Ward just to show you how much damage we can deal. We use the Touch of Death weapon to debuff the Grave Ward a bunch, so we just throw that every single time our mag empties, and then we move on over to our Sellout Legendary to ignite ourselves, and then we switch over to our Unforgiven to increase crit damage. As you see right there, we did a ton of damage with one Rakk Attack. And right now we have them down, we have a self-ignited, and each grenade does tons of damage because we have the Unforgiven. We have the Yellow Cake out, so it increases our splash damage on action skill end. So right here I'm actually just spawning a bunch of grenades to kill them, spawning a couple of Flaks to deal a ton of damage, tons of millions of damage. And then let's move on to the Christina slot, where there's tons of enemies that we can kill very easily. I'll just let the carnage play out on the screen right here. Where you can pretty much get the grenade, if anybody's wondering, is on DLC 4. It's the second to last boss. It's the professor guy that experimented on Krieg. Don't remember his name, but pretty much you just need to farm him, and he drops a class mod. While you're in the DLC, it's also considered a world drop, so you'll be easily, while you're fooling around, you can sometimes get it as well. Just one hit with Rakk Attack can kill tons of enemies really quickly, or just kill one badass enemy, millions of damage instantly. And I'm actually going to pause it here just so you can show you how much damage I'm dealing. So it's a little hard to see right there, but I did 1 million. We got a bunch of millions right there with one Rakk Attack. We did a couple millions right here. We did around 48 million right there. Probably a couple bit more, but it's a little hard to see all the damage numbers. And right here I'm just throwing about a bunch of grenades, and we're dealing a ton of damage with just grenades. Just throwing them out, letting them home in on enemies. And we have the Unforgiven pistol out on this Carnage run because it allows us to deal more damage. Because Lightspeed grenade seems to be able to crit, so when we actually crit and hit the enemy, it spawns a bunch of projectiles, and the Unforgiven grenade allows us to increase the damage we deal by a crap ton, and allows us to deal crazy millions of numbers with just one projectile each. We kill badasses in one hits very, very easily. We deal tons of damage, like always in the millions with each rack. You often see your damage go to like 50 million, maybe higher every once in a while. We do kill a giant dinosaur here, does one Rakk Attack and kill him instantly. And then I also wanted to test the main boss of the slaughterhouse. As you see here in a few moments, I actually hit him once and we deal all its health in one Rakk Attack. It's crazy damage. The Spider Ant also does a really great job at killing the enemies. The Spider Ant acts as a great tank for you, so the damage gets redirected over to him often. Like the enemies target him often. And the Spider Ant also increases our elemental damage by 10%. So that allows us to deal even more damage as we throw out all the elements that we're throwing out with our Rakk Attack, with our grenade. And the Rakk Attack does come in two different variants. You can have the cryo and the fire. So if you ever encounter an enemy that immunes fire, you can always switch to the other one. And if it immunes cryo, you can vice versa. You can switch to the other one as well. Right now in this footage, I am using the cryo Rakk Attack because earlier there was a badass enemy that was immuning fire damage, so we're just doing that. And Lightspeed grenade actually is a pretty hard grenade to come by. You actually have to kill Athathemis, the Relentless, on Minos Prime, the Minos Prime takedown. You have to farm it on Mayhem 6 or higher because the Lightspeed grenade doesn't spawn unless you're at that Mayhem level. And I'm not using any crazy Mayhem modifiers. The only Mayhem modifiers I'm using is Big Kick Energy, increases our gun damage, the Healy Avenger, Chain Gang, and Postmortem. And that's pretty much the build. There's going to be a save file down below for everyone who just wants to grab all the parts and weapons and grenades and artifacts that I'm using in the class mod. They're max level for the most part. There's a few guns that aren't max level on this build, but they're intentionally not max level. I want to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions on this down below. I want to hear your experience with it, see if it's actually as crazy as I'm showing you on the screen. Maybe you guys can make it even better, who knows. But otherwise, I hope you guys like, comment, subscribe, and have a great day. Alright, bye-bye.
And the last shall be first to immerse in a pass out heat, facing him up with a moxie melt till he woke up drowning in tchotchke hell. More in a cave with a torch on a wall than a window arrangement of porcelain dolls.